Sister, there is much news, and none of it is good. No matter how much sunshine I order these days, it always feels like it's raining. Let's have it then. Are you sure you want Spike to hear this? He is my son, or will be, once the paperwork is finished. All of my hopes and dreams are with him, and so must be my confidence. He needs to know his mother's business. So be it. Sombra kidnapped Shining Armor and forced Cadence to release him from the Shadow Plane. What? How useless can that Pegasi be? I adopted her and gave her the power of love to shut up the Pegasi Elders' claim that there were no Pegasi in government. But that failed completely. Apparently any Pegasi who is loyal to me might as well not have wings at all. So, I thought I'd give her the Crystal Empire, where she had one job. One job! To make sure Sombra did not return! She couldn't even stop a shadow! He could not have kidnapped anyone on his own. Which means he must have had help. There are traitors within the Crystal Empire itself. This is distressing, but not beyond repair. He will still be weak from his long imprisonment. Have Cadence rally the division I garrisoned there to hunt down Sombra and his traitorous companions before he can consolidate his power. As part of the terms of his release, Cadence ordered our troops home. They are marching south as we speak. We don't have a single soldier left in the Crystal Empire, save Shining Armor himself. She made promises to Sombra to get her husband back. I can understand that. But she actually kept them? She has. But I do not believe we will need our troops to find Sombra. He has asked for an open election, and has invited you to oversee it. But if you wish, I can order our troops to go back. An election? Oh, that is clever. No, we cannot send our troops back now. The Crystal Ponies were already chafing against having a garrison there. They were beginning to suspect they had been occupied rather than liberated. We shall have to take matters as they are. But what is Sombra really up to? You know Sombra as well as I, perhaps even better. What is he planning? You have fed the Crystal Pony's fears by painting Sombra as a monster. But he was actually a very charismatic ruler. He rose to prominence originally through speeches, not by sword and sorcery. All that came later. It could be that he believes that he can talk the Crystal Ponies back into his hooves. He may believe that telling them the truth will persuade them to return to him. And it might, if any of them could be made to believe it. But the only thing they can remember are Sombra's chains, and his sorcery compelling them to fight. The truth, therefore, is far too outlandish to be believed. So, we will play along. I see little choice in that now. If we refuse to hold an election, Sombra will go underground, and use our refusal as fuel for his insurgency. It could well be he is planning on us doing that very thing. So, we will let him speak to the ponies, and when the Crystal Ponies turn on him, as they must, you, I, and Cadence will subdue him, and let the mob tear him to pieces. Any more bad news? Sister, have you heard what has happened in Cloudsdale? There's something wrong with the Rainbow Factory. The Elders have been trying to convince me that my weather schedule is straining the facility. I know they are just trying to leverage a greater percentage of the harvest out of me, and I suspect they may even sabotage their own facilities to get it. Do you really think the Pegasi would go that far? You were too young at the time to remember it, Luna. But when I first took charge of Equestria, the Unicorns welcomed me as their rightful ruler. But the Pegasi actually took up arms to resist me. My anger about father and mother was still white hot back then, and I unleashed that fury on the defiant Pegasi squadrons. The Pegasi elders quickly learned their folly and submitted. But the Pegasi are forever a willful and contentious race, and every few generations I have to remind their elders why they serve me. If only Alicorn magic were better suited to controlling the weather. Well, this isn't about the Rainbow Factory, or the Elders for that matter, though it may end up involving them. It has to do with Ghidra's apprentice, Fluttershy. She ascended! There is a new abyssal among us. But in the process, it appears that she executed her mother-in-law for committing adultery. She was arrested soon after, and the Elders are holding a special tribunal to hear her case. You are certain of this ascension? It is not some ruse by Ghidra? She is a true Princess of Terror? I have seen her with my own eyes. There is no mistaking it. She is a princess of terror. Unbelievable. Unthinkable. How utterly delightful. And here you told me you only had bad news. I have not had such good news in 1,000 years. I had assumed Ghidra was just stringing Fluttershy along to keep her under his thrall. I never dared hope he would actually lead her to ascension. The vaunted Lord of Terror himself has finally made a mistake. We have him, my sister. We finally have him. Standing by while his pupil kills a mare in cold blood will certainly be politically damaging. It might even change the Unicorn Council's mind about him. But that's hardly a fatal mistake. Newborn abyssals are often baptized in blood. Did you not know that, my sister? The abyssal elements were even called the elements of blood by Abyssus himself. And you would think that an incident like this would help awaken my little ponies to the danger they are in. But I am well beyond such naive hopes. The death of some obscure adulterous mare in Cloudsdale will do little to change ponies' minds about Ghidra. No, I fully expect Ghidra will appeal to the darkness of my ponies' souls, as he always does, and after regaling them for a while with his silver tongue, he will even get the masses to cheer for such a slaughter. While any effort I make to resist him will be perceived by the same mouth-breathers as defending faithlessness. No, I expect no lasting political advantage from this. Then it is the ascension itself that pleases you. How could you possibly benefit from Ghidra creating another abyssal ally? Sister, you have never seen a natural ascension before. It is nothing like being born to your element like we were, or being granted it through Father's secret conjoining ritual like Cadence was. The element itself must find you worthy, and allow itself to become one with you. In essence, Fluttershy has been flirting with two elements, terror and kindness. But to marry one, she had to alienate the other. And which did she choose, sister? Terror. Now do you see it? Ghidra's fatal mistake? Fluttershy can no longer be an element of harmony, and without all 5 elemental keys, my father's weapon can no longer be used against me. The elements of harmony were the only thing left with enough power to stop my plan, and now they're simply gone. There is so much that must be done, my sister. Dispatch the Unicorn Special Prosecutor to Cloudsdale to make sure Ghidra doesn't manipulate the Pegasi Elders into leniency. Fluttershy murdered a pony in my lands, so now she will taste my justice. Oh, and Spike, dear, pack a lunch. It is time for your appointment with Destiny. We are going to the moon.
You are a long way from home, Strictly Legal. As you are aware, you have no jurisdiction here in Cloudsdale. Have you come to observe Pegasi justice?
Elder Nimbus, I am officially claiming jurisdiction over this case under Article 17 of the Princess Code.
The Princess Code? I fail to see how that applies in this case.
Article 17 of the Princess Code states, any case, civil or criminal, implicating the immortal princess shall be under the jurisdiction of the Unicorn Special Prosecutor. As this is clearly an immortal princess, I have every right to claim jurisdiction.
The Princess Code was written when Luna was banished to the moon, and there was only one immortal princess in Equestria. It was intended to apply to Celestia herself.
The law says what it says, Elder. It is not our place to question the intent of the writer, only to prosecute the letter of the law.
So, you will not be dissuaded from applying the Princess Code in this case, then?
I will not.
So be it. I assume you want to stand as the prosecutor, then?
I do, Your Honor.
Then who shall stand for the defense? I shall be her advocate.
I object. Prince Ghidra is a witness. This is highly irregular.
Irregular? This whole case is irregular, Special Prosecutor. Or you wouldn't be here, would you? Is there any law forbidding the witness from being an advocate?
Well, not specifically, but...
Strictly legal. You just said we are here to uphold the letter of the law, nothing more. If it's legal, then it's permissible. Overruled.
Fine. Play all the games you want, Elder Nimbus. The law is clear, and Fluttershy violated it.
That's for you to prove, Strictly Legal. I'd ask you to make an opening statement now, but you just did. Prince Ghidra, would you like to make an opening statement?
Only this. By the time this trial is over, Strictly Legal will know the power of terror and curse the very law in which he trusts.
Objection! He's directly threatening an officer of the court.
Certainly not, Your Honor. That was a prophecy, not a threat. I intend no harm to the Special Prosecutor.
Overruled. The opening statement stands.
This is highly irregular. I object.
Overruled. Now, would you like to call a witness or go on complaining about how irregular all this is on a plane ride back to Canterlot?
Fine. I call Prince Ghidra.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you, Celestia?
I shall speak the truth, and in so doing, I will start by saying that Celestia is more skilled in deception than honesty, and would therefore be of little assistance to me in this matter.
Highly irregular! I object! This defamation of our magnificent princess is uncalled for!
Overruled. Ghidra is an official equestrian prince. He was named so by your very own Unicorn Council. Are you really going to tell him he can't speak his mind about Celestia?
The title of Prince is only an honorific in Equestria, Elder. We both know princes have no legal authority. But for the sake of expedience, I will withdraw my objection. Prince Ghidra, did you or did you not witness Fluttershy murder her mother-in-law in cold blood?
I did not.
You were standing right beside her, were you not?
That is correct.
And yet, you claim you did not witness what happened to Azurshy?
I witnessed everything that transpired between my apprentice and her mother-in-law. That was my entire purpose in being there.
So, you were standing right beside her. You saw everything. And you claim you did not see Azurshy die.
That is also true.
How is that possible?
If you want the right answers, I suggest you start asking the right questions.
Fine then. In your own words, describe the events leading up to the death of Azurshy.
Fluttershy was led to Cloudsdale by a vision granted her by the element of terror. She was very near to ascension and needed to complete this one task to become an immortal. As her master, it was my task to accompany her and ensure that she remained on the path.
Wait, so are you claiming that the element of terror itself killed Azurshy?
Certainly not. The magical elements will sometimes guide us, but they never control our actions. We always have a choice. But the elements do not offer their guidance lightly. There is always a greater purpose, and if we fail to complete our tasks, the consequences can be severe.
The requirements of your sorcery have no bearing on the requirements of justice. You cannot justify killing by saying some magical element told you to do it.
Is that really what you believe? Tell me, Special Prosecutor, do you even know why murder is illegal?
Well, certainly. Princess Celestia decreed it.
So for murder to be just, Celestia needs only to decree it to be so, and then we will all be free to murder anyone with a clear conscience, correct?
That would be evil. Celestia would never do such a thing.
Evil. And who determines what is evil?
Well, Celestia...
Well, can Celestia change what is evil and what is good, or can't she?
I don't know.
How many years did you spend in Celestia's university? And yet, you stand before me obscenely ignorant of anything that matters. There is a higher law, Special Prosecutor. All of us, even you, are aware of it to some degree. Murder is evil because it violates laws that are more universal and immutable than even entropy or gravity. A code written not with hooves or claws, but by the very nature of reality itself. And it is the element of terror above any other element that gives us the clarity to understand these laws and the conviction to follow them. So, perhaps the ignorant, perishable laws of ponies will end up condemning Fluttershy this day, but to imply that the revelations of the element of terror do not justify her actions in reality and in truth is a statement of profoundly dangerous ignorance.
Celestia warned me about you, but not even her warning could prepare me for that silver dagger you call a tongue. But you will not cloud my mind like you have so many others. I am an officer of the law, and I will not be deceived. Your days in Equestria are numbered. The Unicorn Council will hear about what you are doing here in Cloudsdale, and that crown they gave you can be plucked from your head as easily as it was planted there.
You stand before the very Lord of Terror himself, and remain defiant in your willful ignorance? So be it then. We shall play the fool together. Objection, Your Honor. The prosecutor is trying to change the witness's testimony through threats of retaliation.
Sustained!
What? But he... Fine. Just get back to your recounting of events.
Fluttershy believed she was traveling to Cloudsdale to meet her father, but it was Azurshy who answered the knock on Fate's door. By Azurshy's request, we traveled to the edge of the city to speak. It was there that she confessed to committing adultery with Fluttershy's father. She also confessed that such activities were going on the night Fluttershy's mother went into labor, who died soon after because no one was there to help her.
None of that is relevant. Even if it's true, equestrian law does not allow you to take a life for any reason, not even for justice.
Oh? So tell me, if Fluttershy decided to walk out of here, what would those gods do?
Shoot her where she stands.
And if she dies as a result, will you then prosecute the gods for murder?
Certainly not. That would be... different.
It might be different, but it would certainly be killing of some kind, would it not? So your statement that Equestria does not allow killing of any kind is in fact another celestial lie.
How dare you? Celestia will have your head for that kind of talk. It's sedition. It's treason.
Have my head? That would also be a kind of killing, certainly. Will you then prosecute Princess Celestia for murder? I object, Your Honor. The prosecutor is attempting to alter the witness's testimony through threats and personal attacks. Again.
Sustained! This is your last warning. Control yourself, Special Prosecutor, or I will hold you in contempt of court.
Prince Ghidra is deliberately goading me.
If you can't deal with a difficult witness, I suggest you find another profession.
Irregular! Just finish your testimony.
After hearing Azurshy's confession, Fluttershy informed me that she understood the nature of her quest. In order to ascend, she had to choose between her elements. For you see, the path each wanted for her life diverged forever with this one choice. After searching her soul, she opened her eyes to the truth. Truth brought clarity. Clarity brought focus. Focus brought conviction, and conviction yielded terror. She ascended, Special Prosecutor. Do you even have the faintest idea how rare and sacred an event a natural ascension is? No, you could not possibly know what a miracle Princess Fluttershy is, or what a gift terror has offered to you this day. She became terror incarnate, and in that moment, her understanding expanded far beyond anything her natural mind could manage on its own. And when she opened her eyes, the light of that understanding burned within them. Few can even look into that fire without being burned by it, but Fluttershy chose to welcome that fire into her heart for all eternity. It is a price and a burden you will never know, but in return she gained a power and understanding you will never possess. Fluttershy's eyes were opened, and Azurshy stared directly into them. She saw into the very heart of terror, and saw herself for what she truly was. She was so overwhelmed by this vision, she barely reacted when her wings were sheared off, and without her wings, she of course could no longer use her Pegasi magic, and she fell from heaven. Though in truth, she had already fallen long ago.
Aha! So you did witness the murder?
No, I did not.
But you just said you saw Fluttershy enact the ancient barbaric Pegasi practice of execution through wing amputation.
Yes, I saw the amputation and the fall, but I did not witness the death of Azurshy, much less any pony's murder.
It was the fall that killed her!
Certainly not. Falling never killed any pony, Counselor. It was in fact the landing that killed her.
So, short of seeing the landing which killed Azurshy, you have testified that Fluttershy is in fact responsible for the fall that led up to that landing.
I have not.
You... explain yourself.
If Fluttershy attempts to escape and the gods kill her, who is responsible for her death? The gods or Fluttershy?
Fluttershy, of course.
Azurshy died for her murderous betrayal of Fluttershy's mother. Her blood is on her own head.
For the last time, it's illegal to execute ponies in Equestria, no matter how justified you think you are.
If equestrian law says no amount of justification is sufficient to effect justice, then it is in fact justice itself that is illegal in Equestria. If that is truly the case, then the worst criminal in any equestrian courtroom is the prosecutor himself.
You think you're so clever. You're just trying to bait me into saying something out of line again. You want me to get held in contempt and get the case thrown out on a technicality. Ha! I have seen through your little ruse, and I'm not taking the bait. Note, the witness has not stated he believes Fluttershy is responsible for Azurshy's death, but has testified that Fluttershy did in fact cut off Azurshy's wings, causing her to fall over a mile. It is reasonable to assume you believe such a thing would cause her death, isn't it?
Fluttershy grew up tortured and alone. Her mother was dead, and her father chose to blame Fluttershy instead of himself for his loss. Fluttershy's spirit was so weakened that when she fell through a hole in the clouds as a filly, her flight magic was too weak to save her. But, in the terror of that moment, Fluttershy made a connection with an ancient and long-forgotten element. She embraced the power of terror, even as it embraced her. She used its power to compel a swarm of enchanted butterflies to catch her and carry her to safety. So, Fluttershy herself survived the very fall which you seem to think is a death sentence. As Azurshy had just as much chance of survival as Fluttershy did, why would you assume that either she or I would consider those same circumstances to be necessarily deadly to Azurshy?
This is futile. No further questions, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you wish to cross-examine?
As a matter of fact, I do.
What? He can't cross-examine himself. That is...
Irregular? You called him as a witness, and the council has a right to cross-examine any witness you call. That is the letter of the law. And we are all about the letter of the law in this court today, aren't we, Special Prosecutor?
So irregular.
According to your testimony, Fluttershy's ascension occurred as part of this whole affair. Is that correct? It is. Her entire purpose in coming to Cloudsdale was to ascend by becoming one with an element of magic. The very fact that she succeeded is proof that her actions were prompted by the element of terror itself. We here in Equestria base our philosophy on the leading of the celestial elements, for which we have great reverence. The Special Prosecutor seems to think that the abyssal elements are some kind of sorcery. Is that true? You are right to revere the celestial elements, for it is they that illuminate us on the things we should do to find harmony and happiness. But it is only the abyssal elements that tell us what we must never do to avoid extinction. These immutable laws are called blood covenants because they protect the very foundation of life itself. However, Celestia believes you must embrace the celestial elements and forsake the abyssal elements. As a result, you are happily, harmoniously holding hooves and singing as you trot down a rainbow-lit path to oblivion. Because the celestial elements have no special awareness of the blood covenants, Celestia was able to shut her eyes to the truth of this. Celestials in general desperately want to believe that a world without sorrow, wrath, hunger, chaos, and terror is possible. The Celestials have clung to this delusion so firmly, they even went so far as to fight a war of genocide against my kind in an attempt to silence the truth. Millions died, rivers ran red with blood, and the earth disappeared beneath a mountain of corpses. And their grand utopian vision ended with the annihilation of their entire civilization. The truth is, they damned themselves the moment they rejected us. For there is another element at work in the world. Its power is great, and its nature is malice. Like the other elements of magic, it exists both in the world around us and in our souls. But unlike the other elements, which bring life and wisdom to the world, this element is a parasite that feeds on corruption and decay. It seeks to consume the lives of individuals, families, and entire civilizations. What is this element? None other than the element of death. Its power grows whenever we create blood debt by violating the blood covenants, and the stronger it becomes, the more it drives us to do ever more evil to feed its power. It is from this element that sorcerers are born. They are a twisted mockery of the immortals created by the other elements. They are wicked creatures that sell their souls to the element of death in exchange for its dark power. If anyone here has heard of Nightmare Moon, then you know the power of this element is real. Therefore, as the abyssal elements are all that stands between you and the element of death, Strictly Legal's accusation of terror being sorcery is yet another example of how willing he is to do violence to the truth.
Objection, Your Honor! Relevance!
Your Honor, I am only asking the witness to clarify a line of questioning started by the prosecutor himself.
I think you've made your point, counsel. Please wrap this up.
Of course, Your Honor. One last clarification. In your testimony, you stated that Fluttershy ascended before she amputated Azurshy's wings. Is that correct? Yes, that was the specific order of events. No further questions, Your Honor.
Finally! I call Fluttershy to the stand.
My dear, you cannot be compelled to testify in your own trial if you do not wish.
I understand, Your Honor, but I must. The testimony of terror must be heard this day.
Counsel?
I agree.
So be it. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you, Celestia?
I must.
Did you, or did you not, tear off Azurshy's wings with the intent to kill her?
I did.
Your Honor, the defendant just confessed to the crime.
No, she has confessed to killing, not murder. And as you yourself have acknowledged, killing and murder are not the same.
But she just... The law says... Your Honor!
What, Counselor? It's your job to prove murder, not killing. So get to it. Unless you'd rather recuse yourself and leave the task to a Pegasi prosecutor?
No. Fluttershy, do you agree with everything Prince Ghidra said about the events of yesterday?
I do. With all of my heart.
Did you feel threatened or afraid?
Oh no. With my prince by my side, I never feel afraid.
So killing Azurshy was a deliberate choice then? Not an act of passion?
My judgment has never been so sober as it was in that moment.
Didn't you care at all that she had a little filly waiting for her at home?
Tell me, if you would, if I have a little filly waiting at home for me, will you spare me because of it?
You're not getting out of this, Fluttershy. You broke the law, and you're going to pay for it, even if you have 1,000 fillies at home.
Then we agree. Having children does not excuse us from the requirements of justice. We cannot do evil without harming those around us, especially our own families. And if we are made to pay for our crimes, it is not the judge who is to blame for the suffering that judgment causes our families. It's no pony's fault but our own. Isn't that right?
You speak with that dragon's tongue. It sickens me what he's done to you. You were a champion of kindness and harmony, and he's turned you into a cold-blooded killer. And now you think because you grew that wicked horn, you can do whatever you want. Well, you broke celestial law, and your abyssal justice is nothing more than murder here in Equestria. No further questions. Your witness, counsel.
We all now know what you did, and why. But as your state of mind is relevant in the charge of first-degree murder, please tell us what you were feeling.
Afterward, you told me my decision was made in a matter of seconds. But to me, it felt like an eternity. All I ever wanted was a quiet life surrounded by my friends and one day, a family of my own. I don't like trouble or confrontation. I hate hurting ponies in any way, even when they deserve it. So I pursued the element of kindness for many years, because it offered me the power to live the quiet, humble life I longed for. So after hearing Azurshy's confession, the element of kindness granted me 3 visions. First, it showed me that if I did not embrace the element of kindness and spare Azurshy, my dreams of a simple, quiet life would be gone. For eternity. Confrontation, war, and bloodshed laid down any path other than that of kindness. Kindness then showed me my little sister, whom I'd only just met. I saw the sorrow I would cause her by taking her mother away from her. I knew that if I chose any path but kindness, she would suffer loss and experience many sorrows. And finally, kindness showed me that if I did not choose its path, that the harmony of Equestria that I had fought so long and hard to protect would be shattered forever. After seeing these visions, it seemed impossible to choose any path but kindness. And yet, the clarity of vision granted by the element of terror cannot be compared to that of any other element. Terror showed me that the peace I wanted would come at the cost of never seeking justice for my mother. My mother. She loved me even before I was born. The doctors told her burying me would risk her life. But she loved me so much that she thought nothing of risking her own life for mine. I will never hear the warmth of my mother's voice when she speaks my name, or see the light in her eyes when she looks at me. But I need only hear the beating of my own heart to know how much she loved me. My father and Azurshy knew that my mother could die if they abandoned her in her hour of need, but they didn't care. Worse, they hoped she would die, and the element of death granted their wicked desire. It was only because my mother found the strength to drag herself to a neighbor's house that I survived. She gave the last of her life to save mine. So, standing there before Azurshy's cold, mocking eyes, I realized that I would have justice for my mother, even if all the world turned to strife as a result. Because just like my friend Applejack, I understood that there can be no peace without justice. Terror then showed me my sister, and confirmed that she would grow up happy if I spared her mother. However, she would have also grown up to follow her mother's twisted example, and would have become twice as wicked. What is happiness truly worth if it comes at the price of your soul? As much as it hurts, I would rather see my sister suffer loss than become lost herself. And finally, I was shown that if I did not strike down Azurshy, all of Equestria would keep its harmony, but continue to blindly add to the blood debt of their nation, adding fuel to the fire that is already threatening to consume them. Of what use is harmony to the dead? If I have to choose between war and extinction, even I will choose war. So, in the end, the seemingly impossible choice was as easy as breathing. I embraced terror with all of my heart, mind, and soul, and we became one. I rendered the judgment of terror upon Azurshy. Now, for the sake of terror, I will accept the hate of my sister. I will accept the loathing of Celestia. I will accept the terror I will now forever see reflected in the eyes of ponies. I will even accept the blood I may now have to spill, even if it must flow in rivers. I will accept it all for this one chance, to restore justice to my people, and release them from their bondage to the element of death. You may believe I'm the one on trial today, but you are fools to think so. It is you who are being weighed and measured by my element. If you accept the judgment and rule of terror, then I promise you the blessing of sorrow, which will save you from folly, the blessing of chaos, which will save you from malaise, the blessing of hunger, which will save you from apathy, the blessing of wrath, which will save you from injustice, and above all, the blessing of terror, which will save you from your own willful self-deception. But if you reject my element, I promise you will go on being cursed with love that embraces death, laughter that dismisses mortal danger, kindness that tolerates evil, and harmony that is built on lies. And I promise your blinded eyes will see only light, and your deaf ears will hear only laughter, right up to the moment of your sudden and inescapable extinction. The great and terrible choice, as always, is yours.
Are you done?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Closing arguments, then?
Yes, Your Honor. Despite all the theatrics and colorful, empty rhetoric of the defense in this case, the law remains very clear. Fluttershy was not in any danger. By her own testimony, she was calm and composed, premeditating her actions. She chose to kill Azershy on the basis of some foreign mysticism that has no place in Celestia's realm of light. No matter what Azershy may have been guilty of, we do not execute criminals in Equestria. So no matter how you look at this, Fluttershy is a murderer. By the letter of the law, she is guilty, and must face the full sentence of life in prison without parole. If you refuse to grant so obvious a requirement of law, Celestia will surely regard it as an act of treason, and you will all face the consequences.
Yes. Threatening the judge in your closing arguments. Would you consider that irregular?
It's not a threat. It's a prophecy.
So be it. Prince Ghidra, your closing arguments.
What Strictly Legal says is true. By equestrian law, Fluttershy is in fact guilty of murder.
What? Are you changing the plea to guilty in your closing arguments?
Silence. Let Prince Ghidra finish.
As I was saying, by the letter of the law, she is guilty. Or is she? Despite Strictly Legal's claim that the leading of the magical elements cannot justify acting outside the law, Article 1 of the Princess Code states very plainly, the immortal princess reserves the right to act against the laws of Equestria as the illumination of her immortal element dictates. Fluttershy ascended before she executed Azershy, and she was acting at the direction of her immortal element. Her ascension is the incontrovertible proof of that. Therefore, by the letter of the law, she cannot be found guilty of any crime under those circumstances. So, this court must find Fluttershy not guilty. Wouldn't you agree, Strictly Legal?
No. How dare you? That provision was written for Celestia herself, and her blessed element of light. This is blasphemy.
No, Special Prosecutor, how dare you? The law says what it says, and as this is clearly an immortal princess by your own admission, the provision includes her. You lost this case the moment you used the Princess Code to stick your horn into it. You are an arrogant fool, Strictly Legal, and it feels very good to finally get a chance to say so. Not guilty.
Your Honor, there is still one article of law that must be addressed.
What new insult is this?
What is it, Counsel?
Article 5 of the Princess Code states that any pony who conspires to take the life or liberty of the immortal princess is a traitor of the state.
Oh. This is indeed troubling.
Fluttershy's crimes were grievous, but they weren't directed at Celestia. This isn't relevant.
Are you really still so blind? You are the one conspiring to imprison our immortal princess. Arrest the Special Prosecutor for treason.
Ah, there it is at last. You finally know the power of terror. But as is all too often the case, understanding comes to you too late.
You cannot hold me here! Damn the letter of the law! Celestia wrote the law! It can be changed!
And so can the weather. Do you really think Celestia will risk civil war for you, Strictly Legal? You know she won't. Even so, you may consider yourself privileged. You will be the first unicorn in 1,000 years to see the inside of a Pegasi prison. Take him away. Elders of the Pegasi, I bring before you a final motion. Here before us is the first true-born Pegasi princess in the history of Cloudsdale. After 1,000 years of toiling under Celestia's yoke and living off of her scraps, we at last have a princess of our own. Who better to lead us to life, or to war? What say you, my people? This is not just a princess of terror. This is the Queen of the Heavens, the rightful ruler of all Pegasi. All hail the Queen of Heaven! All hail the Queen of Storms!
All hail the Queen of Storms! All hail the Queen of Storms! All hail the Queen of Storms!
Oh, it's just you. I trust you can find your own way to the basement.
You did me great harm by allowing Twilight Sparkle in here. Remind me again why I keep you alive.
The library is open to all, Celestia, even to creatures as vile as yourself. It is not the abyssal way to deny any who seek enlightenment.
Well, that is good to hear, because I am not here for the basement this time. I have brought you a seeker.
Why have you brought this little dragon to me? He is very young for enlightenment. He may not be ready.
He wishes to know himself. Will you help him or not?
I cannot help him simply because you wish it. I can help him find the path only if he wishes it.
Xena needs to hear it from your own lips, Spike. And it must be honest. She will know if you are lying. Tell her if you wish to know the truth about who you really are. Celestia isn't lying about this, Xena. I really do want to know. Then I shall leave you to it then? Good. Listen well to Xena, Spike. I do not prescribe to her philosophy, but I have never known her to lie, not even to me. Just send me a note when you're done, and I'll come pick you up.
Your scent is somehow very familiar.
You are absolutely horrifying.
You are a little charmer, aren't you? But flattery will not help you here, I'm afraid.
You're really a librarian? I've never seen a librarian like you before.
And you have never been to a library like this before. Tell me, Spike, have you truly come here of your own free will? You say you want to know the truth about yourself, but if you are not ready, you should not push yourself. There are dangers in learning the truth before your heart is ready.
What Celestia said is true. I want to know who I really am, and where I come from. You said this isn't a regular kind of library. Then what kind of library is it?
Long ago, this library was like any other, just a place to store books. But so many powerful spell books were stored here that over time their magic seeped into the very building itself, and it became something more. Over the years, the library became ever more powerful and ever more aware.
Aware? So this library is alive?
It has a kind of awareness and will of its own. So yes, it is life, but not as we know it. But you aren't here to learn about the library, are you? No, Spike. You are here to learn about yourself. And as you are a dragon, that means learning your dragon name.
Dragon name? Well, I don't really know much about dragons, to tell you the truth. Spike is the name Twilight gave me, and that's good enough for me.
If you were a pony, that would be true. But no dragon can connect to his true power unless he knows his true name. If you are here to learn about yourself, then you are really here to know your true name.
Well, that sounds easy enough. Just tell me my name, then.
A dragon name is more than just sounds and syllables, and your learning it may cost you more than you know.
Well, I should have known it wouldn't be that easy. What is that noise?
It's the library. I've never sensed this before.
Sensed what?
Fear. The library is afraid.
Afraid of what?
You!
Me? You're poking fun at me now, aren't you? I'm just a baby dragon, and I'm friendly. I have yet to meet any creature, small or great, that thought I was scary.
This is no joke, Spike. The library is afraid of you, but I do not yet know why. As the librarian, I will journey with you and reveal the truth as the library reveals it to me, but... The door is opened? What a delicious mystery. You have not made your choice, and the library is offering you none. For the first time in 1,000 years, there is only one path through the library.
Oh, I do remember Twilight saying something about having to make a choice. Is it really that important?
Until today, I would say that the choice between learning what you want to know and what you need to know is of the greatest importance. But for the first time ever, the library isn't offering you this choice. You must know everything, or nothing. That is the significance of the one door. Your only choice is to go in, or to go home.
I'm not going back without knowing. I just can't.
Then we must move with haste. The library is restless. It would be done with you quickly, and it is best not to test the library's patience.
What is this place?
The place that you must see.
Which is where exactly?
The crystal caves beneath Canterlot. This is where she found you.
Who found me?
Celestia.
She found my egg way down here? But how? And why was it down here to begin with?
How indeed.
That sound.
Terror. The library is trembling. I do not understand this.
What about my egg?
Your egg was hidden within this labyrinth of caves and shielded by powerful magic to ensure that no one would ever find it, even by accident.
Who? Why? I don't understand. Who would go to so much trouble to hide my egg? And why? And how did Celestia find it if it was that well hidden?
I apologize. The library's feelings, they are getting difficult to separate from my own. A moment. There. Yes. Who hid your egg? Your mother, Spike. It was your mother.
But why? Why would she do that? Was she trying to protect me from something?
No. She was trying to protect everything.
Protect everything? From what?
From you.
From me? What am I, Xena? Why would my own mother be so afraid of me?
Celestia knew where you were, Spike. Her father told her when he did it.
Celestia's father? But he died over 1,000 years ago. How can that be?
He helped your mother, Spike. Helped her disappear. Helped her hide you from your father. She knew your father would never let her do it. She knew he would never do what had to be done.
What had to be done? What is it that had to be done? What aren't you telling me?
Your name. The library knows your name. You were here once before, still in your mother's womb, and the library told your mother your name. She knew what she had to do the moment she heard it. So she went to Celestia's for help.
My name. What is my name?
She had 2 eggs within her that day.
Why won't you just say it?
The first was Ghidorah, your brother.
My brother? I know you can't possibly mean Prince Ghidra. He's over 1,000 years old. For that to be true, my egg would have to have been in that cave. For 1,000 years!
Prince Ghidorah, your brother, she left behind to be raised by her beloved Abyssus, her last gift to him. She vanished then, with the help of Celestius, to bear the second egg in the place that he had prepared for her. And then she fled our world, so none would ever be able to discover your hiding place. Celestius hid this secret from everyone, except Celestia. He charged her to protect the cave and this secret forever. But then Celestius fell in battle, and Celestia began her long plan to get revenge. You were actually her first thought, Spike. Who better to kill the Prince of Terror than his own brother? So she recovered your egg, but she could not hatch it. No, only one power could bring you into the world. Of course! How did I not see this? This is why she insisted on creating Twilight with the element of wrath. Only that element had the power to hatch your egg. Creating Twilight gave Celestia renewed access to the elements of harmony, and the ability to hatch your egg. Such a brilliant fool you are, Celestia. And now she has brought you here, because the elements of harmony have failed her, and unlocking your power is her last chance to prevail against your brother.
But I'm not scary. I'm friendly. No one is ever scared of me, ever. There's no reason for my mother to be scared of me, no reason at all. So the library has to be mistaken. It must be thinking of some other dragon.
Celestia, your hubris has damned us all.
Who am I?
You? You are Judgment. You are the Avenger of Blood. You are the World Eater, the very end of days. You are Gojira, the Prince of Destruction, the King of Monsters, and it is by your power that the moon shall be rent from the heavens, the sun shall flee from its place, and the world shall be torn asunder. That is the oracle of the Abyssal Library, and the prophecy of the Princess of Sorrow.
I am Gojira.
Your Highness?
Oh, you're talking to me. I'm sorry. It's going to be hard getting used to that. How can I help you?
Your Highness? Some ponies have fled the city. No doubt they fear being held accountable for their crimes. But a few of them have left their foals behind in their haste.
Oh dear. You shall have to place them with whatever relatives you can find who are still in the city.
You misunderstand, Your Highness. We have not come for help with our duty. We have come to complete it. You are the only living relative this filly has left in Cloudsdale. But under the circumstances, you may prefer we take her to an orphanage.
Oh, no. Unless, of course, she would rather go to the orphanage. I would understand if she did.
Mama did something bad, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And you had to punish her, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Papa did something bad. That's why he ran away?
Yes.
Will you be my mama now?
Yes. If you will have me, I will. For as long as you need me, I will take care of you. You are all the family I have left.
It's okay, Mama. You don't have to cry. Everything is going to be okay now. I promise.